I was traveling through Chalice's Madurai site in India, which is run by an order called the Sisters of the Cross of Chavonade. I was constantly peppering them with questions about their congregation and daily life, and my colleagues began to joke that I was going to stay there and start my novitiate with them. One day we were with a group of sisters whose convent was in quite a difficult and remote area, and someone cracked a joke that I was going to stay with them and join their order. They all laughed and told me I'd be more than welcome. And I said, well, not that it doesn't sound wonderful, but I couldn't leave my family like that. And they said, yes, it's hard to leave your family. And so I thought we were in agreement. I would miss my family too much, and they would miss me too much. That's what would be too hard, right? But then Sister Ini surprised me by saying, it's hard not to be there to take care of them. That's not what I'd been thinking at all. I didn't think my family needed me in the sense that they can't look after themselves or they need me to support them. I wished my reaction wasn't immediately about my own feelings and attachments and had been like theirs, concern for my family's well-being. I envied them a little, firstly because they were clearly so much less selfish than I am, but also that they could feel total freedom to live their vocation, even if it meant being far away from their families. Their only worries laid to rest with God. In this Gospel of Mark, Jesus talks to his disciples about leaving home or brothers or sisters or mother or father or children or fields for his sake and the sake of the gospel. The apostles had done so quite literally, as Peter is quick to point out. These sisters too had literally left everything to follow him, exposing both them and their families as fully reliant on God for all things, materially and spiritually, every day. Some of us aren't called to be the ones who physically pick up and move away, but the ones who leave and the ones who are left behind have something vital in common. They are fully entrusting both themselves and the ones they love to God's care. Both the leavers and the left equally surrender their ability to care for the other personally and give up any shred of control over either's future. In the Gospel of Matthew, Christ tells us to look to the birds as guides. The Father feeds them without fail. This resonates with Indians and many of the people who live in the countries where Chalice serves, who rely on seasonal agriculture for both food and livelihood. They are intimately aware of capricious weather, invading pests, and sudden disaster, and their powerlessness to do anything about it, except pray for each year's successful harvest. Your heavenly Father knows what you need, Jesus insists. Don't worry about yourself. Don't worry about your mom, although if you have to, maybe you could switch the order there, Kate. He will take better care of them than we ever could. It is fitting that Indian Catholics have a great devotion to St. Anthony of Padua. Seriously, like every parish I passed was St. Anthony of Padua. St. Anthony is a patron saint of travelers, the poor, and quite famously, lost things. His life and works exemplify how these three things are the signposts to being the people that Jesus is trying to describe to his disciples. St. Anthony uprooted himself, constantly traveling to speak the good news. He lived in material and spiritual poverty, relying on God's guidance to meet all of his daily needs. But wait, what's the virtue of lost things? A post by Franciscan Media put it excellently. He whom popular devotion has nominated as finder of lost objects found himself by losing himself totally to the providence of God. So next time somebody tells you to get lost, thank them for their good advice. While we don't have to emulate the apostles, St. Anthony, or the Holy Cross sisters by literally abandoning our homes, we can adopt their spirit of trust that God will take better care of things than any person could. Christ promises us that all of the good and nourishing things we willingly let go of for his sake, we will receive 100-fold from him. So, I invite you today to pray about one specific thing you could, literally or figuratively, leave behind, and ask God to show you how he fills your poverty with something much better.